Hello guys, welcome to another episode of HealthSSCOPE. This is episode 2. We have, the same superstar with us again.
I never leave, man. I'm always here.
And we also have Jibril. So guys, how did you actually apply after you graduated to, how did you become a doctor? How did you apply to get into the NHS system?
So previously, in the last episode, we talked about graduation, we talked about how we felt and the things regarding that. And we're all what we call IMGs, International Medical Graduates. We all studied abroad. We studied in a country called Moldova in Eastern Europe, little one, small one, between Romania and Ukraine. And Abdi studied in Romania.
Yeah.
So the main split here is which countries are EU or non-EU. And that was relevant back then, pre-Brexit anyway. So EU, obviously, if you know your EU countries, is most of the countries in Europe, but some countries in Europe are not EU, like Ukraine, Belarus, Moldova, etc. And non-EU also encompasses the rest of the world, like China, Sudan. So we're more or less in that boat. So someone from China and someone from Sudan and us were like the same, and Abdi is Romania. But how we apply for a job, that was a madness one, I'm not going to lie to you.
We had to go through a process, man. Our process started end of 5th year medical school. We sent off some papers that we had to send off. So essentially, because of the fact that our uni is non-EU university, we were eligible for the foundation program. And in order to become eligible, you have to send an application form to them through this system called the HEALTHSSCOPE system. And then they review your application, right. And after that they will make a decision whether or not you're accepted onto the program. So we sent off our application. I believe it was July or June of the 5th year.
Early June.
Early June of the 5th year we sent it off.
Okay.
And then we heard back from them when?
August. So not long after. But the main distinction here is the fact that our medical school is 6 years and the UK is 5 years. So when the UK students apply, it's end of their 4th year, but it's end of our 5th year.
So in the last year, basically.
Just before the last year. Also, the main difference here as well is an internship. If your degree includes an internship, and that could be other countries as well, then the foundation program is not an option. They won't allow you to apply for the foundation program because you are eligible for what you call a full GMC registration. But if you didn't have a internship or you can't prove it, then you have to apply for provisional, which is basically you're not fully registered. But that's what the foundation program is for. So countries like Bulgaria has an internship. Other countries like other countries in the EU that would allow you to have full GMC registration has internship as well.
Which is the same as those that studied in UK.
Yep.
So anyone that graduated from medicine in UK won't come out of university with a full registration. They'll come out with a provisional registration.
Yep.
So we was in the same boat as UK graduates from that perspective. So we started off with a provisional registration, but that came later. So essentially, we got our news back from the foundation program through the HEALTHSSCOPE system mid to late August.
That you've been accepted.
That we've been accepted onto the program.
Right.
Then there was a few things that we had to do after.
Yeah, but even before that though, we had to provide obviously it's a whole criteria on if you guys go on Google and you type in UK applications for foundation program, the criteria is there in detail. And we will put in a link in the description as well.
Yep.
But essentially, there are a few things that we needed to show. One of them is the fact that we are about to graduate. This is our final year, so a paper indicating the proof of that, what we call a dean statement. And in that our degree is in English and all these things were ticked off. And then we submitted that to the foundation program. They looked at it and they said, you know what, they're eligible for foundation, and then that's how we were accepted.
All right. So what was the next step after that? What was the thing you did?
When we got accepted, they said, okay, you guys are streamlined. So from that moment on, us guys and UK soon-to-be graduates were in the same boat, and we had to do an exam called the SJT, the Situational Judgment Test, which is basically a series of questions based on the GMC principles like morals, ethics, what you like certain scenarios you'll face at work, and you basically have to respond to them appropriately as a medical professional. Do you remember any examples?
I remember one funny one, man.
Go on.
If a colleague comes into work drunk,
Yeah.
do you A, let him go? B, do you inform your senior? C, do you inform your clinical supervisor or educational supervisor, which are your consultants that you're attached to?
And then D would be like referral to the GMC straight.
Or you go straight to the GMC as an option.
And then another option would be like, do you also have a drink as well? Some dumb response. So you have to rank it as like the most appropriate response, and then obviously the least. So obviously you wouldn't drink, but you know, obviously you'd. It's like what we call escalation ladder. You report to your senior, and so on and so forth. So it's just a systemized exam to basically they want you to behave appropriately whilst working in the NHS. So we did that in around January time. You could do it in January or December. This is, by the way, during our final year med school. So we did that in December, January / you could do it in December or January. We did it in January. And then what they then do is you have to essentially your score in medical school compared to your colleagues, they rank it in points, plus your score in SJT. That is your total amount. And then we have that, and then you then rank. There's like the whole UK is split into 20 parts. They're called deaneries. It's a whole complicated process, but you have to basically rank where you want to go first, depending on location. So I would probably rank like Birmingham number 1, and then Coventry number 2, and so on and so forth. And then also the types of specialties, so A&E or obstetrics, or like, I don't know, general medicine, and it just goes on like that. That's how we went.
Yeah, so the ranking is like you said, is location based. So you choose what your ranking is. However, the way in which your ranking gets, like how you end up where you end up in, once they've got your score from university, where you ranked as a student based on all your exams, your average or your mean grade from your previous exams, from your transcript, and how well you've done on the actual exam, will determine how high up you end up being on priority for what you've chosen. So if I chose, for example, Birmingham as my number 1 choice, and my options that I put in within Birmingham was to do, I don't know, A&E, surgery, respiratory, something like that. If my score is high enough, I'll end up getting my choice.
Okay.
If my score is not high enough, I'll drop down
to your second,
to
third,
either second or third, and it all depends on how high. And then there's a cutoff point. There's a point in which if you score anything less than that, you don't get ranked anywhere. Then you formally move on to the stage called the interview stage, where they will call you in. I think at that time, because it was the pandemic, it was over Zoom. I don't know now how they would do it now, but they will essentially call you in, and you will sit the exam with them again. But this time it's more of a face-to-face situation. And they'll ask the same scenarios, but they'll word it a little bit differently. And then based on that, what they see on your face-to-face, they will then decide whether or not you are then eligible to stay within the program and still have an opportunity to get a placement somewhere. Or they might choose at that point and say, no, we're not happy with that. You know,
you need to reset this.
Reapply, you know, go through the whole process again, you know, start off from scratch again. So, and then there's I think there was like 3 batches in which your allocations are put out. So the period was between, I'd say we got our results from the SHT test around about March times, and then between March and July, you'd have 3 times in which a batch would come out and say, you know, this batch of doctors here have been given these deaneries or these locations.
Yeah, it's a whole like you have like primary allocation, secondary reserve. It's all a long system, but essentially what they do is they just, depending on the score and how popular because Abdi said depending on the score, but if you choose something and your score is not that high, but it's not a popular place, you might still get your first choice. So it's a very complicated system of your score and how popular the place is and how popular those specialities that you want are as well. And then later on, but alhamdulillah, you know, all of us eventually got a place, and they told us, you know, this is the hospital that you're going to be in the first year, this is the hospital that you're going to be in the second year. And, you know, you've got your 6 rotations or placements, each one having 4 months, and, you know, and that's how you're going to do. And then that was more or less the foundation program, more or less sorted for us. We kind of
you could literally end up anywhere in the country.
Yeah, so it depends on the scoring
your score.
system. And, you know, some of us ended up in, you know, other parts of the country. Some of it ended a bit closer. But essentially...
That's how it works.
Yeah, that's how it works. And it's just whatever you kind of deal with. If you didn't like it, or if you were like, I'm not happy with this, you would, the other choice would just be reapply and just try harder next time. And or you know, yeah, and that's how it was.
So what happens after that? Like, so, okay, that's the foundation program. So now roughly we're in March, April, May time. So what's the next step after that?
So that's the time when they will tell you your jobs and your locations.
Yes.
So you kind of know where you're going. So you know you have this big relief, you know, that you're like, oh, okay, alhamdulillah, I know where I'm going. I've got a job lined up for me. The only thing then is just about obviously passing your medical degree.
Yep.
That's the main thing. And the second thing is you have to, now they're saying to you, you have these jobs available to you. However, you need to get your provisional registration from the GMC now. So it's a different entity. So the foundation program and the GMC are 2 different entities. So now you have to apply for the GMC as well. And the GMC have a whole criteria that they want as well. But for us, at that point in time, all they wanted for us was our medical degree, which we submitted, and an English exam. So the English exam can vary. Some people do what we want called IELTS. Another one we could do is called OET. So it's just basically a speaking, listening, reading, and writing exam. And all medical professionals from abroad had to do it. They don't care if you have GCSE English or A-level English.
Doesn't matter.
That's not their concern. They want to know that, can you work in a professional setting with good English? And that's what they wanted.
And then, so like you said, the GMC, it's its own entity, like you mentioned. So the GMC has nothing to do with the foundation program. This is the General Medical Council. This is where doctors are sort of regulated, essentially, in UK. So every doctor working in the United Kingdom, in order for them to be working in the country, they need to be approved by the GMC. If you're not on the register,
it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. So therefore, for example, I can type your name now on the GMC website, and your name will come up because you're on the register. So you can search up any doctor in the country just by having their name, and you can see that they are registered or they have a license to practice in the UK. Process to get to that stage was once we, like you said, you pass your medical exam, you've passed your state exam and things like that, and then you get your diploma.
So you have a diploma.
Now that's when the journey for the GMC starts. It doesn't start before that. So it's only once you have your diploma. Now that you have your diploma, you have to send your diploma off to be verified in America by this organization called EPIC. And they verify your
diploma,
your
whether it's
diploma.
Real or fake.
Exactly. So they have their way of doing it. And then you have to swear an oath with a attorney in America. And then, you know, they do their checks, they contact the university. They will just make sure that, you know, your diploma, your transcript, everything is as it is and that it's not falsified. Once they've done that, you get a number, an EPIC ID number. That ID number is a number that you can use in any medical organization in the world to prove that your license is not false, to prove that it's legit license or diploma. So like your diploma is legit. So you can go anywhere and you just provide your EPIC ID, and through that EPIC ID, they'll be able to see that, you know, you've got a legit medical diploma. So we give that EPIC ID to the GMC. You make an application, you pay a fee, you give them a copy of your diploma, a copy of your certificate from your English exam that you've sat, that you've passed it. There's a certain mark that you have to get to pass. You send those things off, you pay your fee, and then you are granted a provisional registration or license to practice.
And then by the end of that, you will start your foundation program and you will do the 2 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the thing is, so normally the foundation program starts in August.
Mm.
Every August, every year is when it starts. But for us, we were in race against time because we graduated in June and we had to get our diploma from the university, get it verified from the Epic company we just talked about, go to the GMC and they have to verify it, and do our English exam and then get the results for that, all within June, right?
Yeah,
So June, July,
2 months.
literally, or 1.5 months. That's what we had to do. So it was a bit, it was
Chaos.
race against time.
Yeah.
So we were in danger of not making it, if you could say that. But it was the thing is, if it wasn't for COVID, we would have probably got our stuff a lot earlier. Because of COVID, everything was kind of pushed back a bit, and our trust, the hospital trust, were very understanding, and they said, you know what, you can sort your stuff out and you can defer your start date in December. All that means is you will miss out on the first 4 months on foundation, but you will just make up for it at the end. So we would be finishing in December instead of in August, basically. And as soon as they said that, there was no pressure. It was like, let's just get our things sorted, and and that's when Abdi took his long holiday, and we just enjoyed ourselves for a bit, and we thought, you know what, it's a nice. It worked out for us all amazingly because it was a little bit of a respite from that stressful summer that we're trying to get all our applications sorted, and eventually, alhamdulillah, we all started working in December, and as part of this program, I started working in Nottingham. Abdirashid started
Northampton.
in Northampton, NGH, yeah. and we just went from there, alhamdulillah. And,
Mashallah.
And it's been a year since then.
Yeah, so okay, that's the journey for someone who's outside the EU, right?
Yep.
The only advice I can give you is basically, with the English exam, it's valid for 2 years.
Yes.
Right? So you should kind of squeeze it in your final year of med school.
Yeah.
Right? So it's valid for that year and the year after, right? So you don't have to worry about your English exam because you don't know whether you'll pass it. You speak English, right? But these exams, it's its own entity. You have to actually sit down and study it because it's different, regardless of how good your English is, it's a bit difficult, to be honest. But that's that. You'll pass it if you actually put work in. If you think you can just book an exam and turn up, you'll fail.
Yeah.
Most of the time, because it's the system. You have to realize that it's how do you pass this exam rather than can you speak English, right? So that's that. For us who are in the EU, our process was a lot simpler, okay? So once you have, all right, so you sit this English exam, IELTS or OET, whether you graduated from EU or non-EU, right? So if you're an international medical graduate, you need that English exam. The second thing you need is your diploma. So in that way, we're similar. But the final thing is that you get a letter from the dean, because if your diploma has been delayed, we get something called a pre-diploma. So you can apply with the pre-diploma, and the dean saying the diploma is on its way, it's going to take time for it to be processed, blah, blah, a month or so. So we can apply with the pre-diploma and the English exam. So you apply to the GMC, right? And you get your license. A lot quicker in terms of process, right? The problem now is, for us, you don't have a job. You're medically, basically, and legally, you can practice in this country, but we don't have, because by the time you've applied, you've got a full license rather than a provisional, you have to go and job hunt, right? So you go on NHS jobs or track jobs, and you apply for all the F1 or even F2 posts you see all across the country, right? Now, it can be very daunting. The thing is, the way I did it is I applied for everything under the sun. I didn't care about the location. I didn't care about, how long the process would take. I just applied. I used to apply for 3, 4, whatever came up, I used to apply for it. My advice would be apply for those. And where I made a mistake was I didn't do a clinical attachment. Now, eventually I got a clinic attachment at Abdirashid's hospital, which I didn't end up taking because, you know, by the time I got the attachment, I also got a job at one of the hospitals. So, like, alhamdulillah, you know, it worked out for me eventually. But what you should do is, once you get your license, or even towards the end of your medical degree, email like 30, 40 consultants all across the country and see if you can get a clinical attachment. If you get a clinical attachment for 1 month, you're most likely going to get a job at the hospital you did the attachment in, first and foremost. Secondly, you're more likely to get a job rather than someone who has zero experience in the NHS. You know what I mean? And there's different routes. So you can apply for NHS jobs or track jobs, or you can do locum, right? The thing is, if you have no experience, you're more likely not to get the job. But if you get a job where you don't require experience, once you start, you will drown. That's the thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's very hard. So you're in that sticky situation. So clinical attachment works wonders for you. You get to know the NHS system. You're shadowing. You're not getting paid. But money should never be your priority at the beginning anyways. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, that's all it is. It's a short kind of process for us, but it can be very daunting and you know, a lot of unanswered questions. It can take a while, so you have to be patient. Like, you don't think, oh, I've graduated, where's my job now? There are jobs all across the country, but I don't know, man. They come in batches, you know, it depends on your luck. It depends on, you know, it would take however long it's meant to take, but you need to be patient and you need to you have to put work in. You're not going to get a job by being at home, basically. So, yeah, on that note, literally, I think that's as short as we can make.
What about Brexit and how things changed?
So, all right, that's a great point. So for us, it was pre-Brexit. That's when we got a job, right? Or when we applied for it. Post-Brexit now, the difference is the process is the same. You need to get registered with GMC and you need to find a job, right? How do you get registered with the GMC? After Brexit, what's it called? You need to get your degree verified, just like if you're from, or if you studied from outside of the EU to this American company called Epic. And I think that's the only difference in terms of what you need to do now. And you need to prove that you've done an internship, that you have an internship and it's integrated within your degree. And I think your dean of the university or faculty will give you a letter saying that, yes, this individual has an integrated internship degree, whatever, blah, blah. And you get that letter from, you know, your university. That plus your degree getting verified by this company, you pay like £130 or something. And this English exam, IELTS or OET, that's all you need, right? Post-Brexit. Okay, 2024, everyone will be doing something called UKMLA.
Game changes.
MLA,
yeah.
Right? Which makes everything kind of equal. It levels the playing field. So doesn't matter whether you graduate from Somalia, Sudan, China, Morocco, America, or in the EU, it does not matter. Everyone who wants to practice in this country will have to do that exam. And that's probably going to be 2024. So if you're starting medical school now or next year, you'll be doing that exam. Don't worry too much about that. I feel like sometimes you get too caught up in the fact that, you know, oh, I have to do this exam. Oh my God, I have to do PLAB, blah, blah, blah. Just get your medical degree first. That's
You'll probably start 100 exams by then, so.
Yeah.
What's another one?
Yeah. Exactly. So, yeah, on that note, if you like these type of videos and you want us to do more, do let us know in the comment section. Please do, you know, share, comment, subscribe, press that, you know, notification bell, and please do interact with us. You know, like obviously the more you interact, the more you have questions for us or things we can talk about, the more we can help you guys. Because I remember when we were in your situation, we were lost. Do you know what I mean? And it took for us like making mistakes for us to figure out what we could have done right, what could have done. So we have a lot of shortcuts because we did it throughout like the last year or so. So do let us know, like, if you have any queries, if you want us to make a video on something, if you want us to make a video on a day in the life of, we work in completely different, rotations. So do let us know, and we can make these type of videos for you. On that note, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.